Ever wondered what it's really like inside a Supermax prison? Not the Hollywood version, but the real, day-to-day reality. Well, I worked as a corrections officer in one for years, and today, I'm taking you behind the walls. Forget what you've seen in movies. The reality is a world of extreme control, routine, and constant, simmering tension. My day started before sunrise with a security briefing. We'd get updates on any overnight incidents, potential threats, and which inmates were on high alert status. Every single day, you walk in knowing you're dealing with the most challenging individuals in the entire prison system. These aren't your typical inmates. They're here because they couldn't be managed anywhere else. The core of Supermax is isolation. Inmates spend about 23 hours a day locked in a small, concrete cell. My job was to manage that isolation. We'd conduct multiple, unpredictable cell checks throughout the day. We're not just looking for contraband. We're also assessing their mental state. The silence in a Supermax wing can be deceiving. It's not peaceful, it's heavy. You learn to read the small signs, a change in an inmate's posture, the way they respond to a question, or the look in their eyes. Delivering meals is one of the few times we directly interact. It's a highly controlled process. Food is passed through a small slot in the solid steel door. You never open the main door with an inmate inside unless it's for a supervised transport. Even then, it's a multi-officer procedure with full restraints. Every movement outside the cell is planned like a military operation. There is zero room for error. An error doesn't just mean a problem. It can mean someone gets seriously hurt. Then there's the yard time. This isn't a basketball court. It's a slightly larger, caged-in concrete box, often called a dog run, where an inmate gets 1 hour of solo exercise. My job was to monitor them from a control booth or from a distance. Even alone, they can be a risk to themselves or find ways to damage property. The psychological pressure of this environment is immense, both for them and for us. You might be surprised to learn that communication is one of the biggest parts of the job. Not friendly chats, but clear, firm, and consistent commands. You learn to de-escalate situations with your words because using force is always the last resort. Building a professional rapport, not a friendship, but a level of mutual understanding, can be the difference between a smooth shift and a lockdown. They need to know you're firm, fair, and consistent. People often ask me if I was ever scared. The truth is, you don't have time for fear. You have training, you have procedures, and you have your team. You operate on adrenaline and professionalism. You learn to compartmentalize, to leave the stress of the job at the gate when you clock out, though that's easier said than done. It's a world few people ever see, a system designed to contain the uncontainable. It's a heavy job, but someone has to do it. Thanks for watching and getting a glimpse into this hidden world. If you found this interesting, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories from behind the badge. Stay safe out there. In the control room, Harper and his fellow officers monitored the array of screens that displayed every inch of the prison. Cameras tracked movement with mechanical precision, showing hallways, exercise yards, and cells in unnerving detail. On one monitor, a figure stood perfectly still, staring at the camera, almost as if challenging the technology itself. It was difficult to tell whether it was boredom, defiance, or simply a moment of human confusion, but in a place designed to remove humanity, even a flicker of consciousness was an anomaly. And anomalies had consequences. By mid-afternoon, the first major incident of the day occurred. A fight broke out in cell block B, sparked by a trivial dispute over the allocation of space in the yard. The security alarms blared immediately. Officers rushed in, using non-lethal force, tasers, and shields to separate the inmates. Yet even as the chaos unfolded, the structure of the prison absorbed the violence, channeling it, controlling it. Inmates were isolated, injuries recorded, and the psychological impact cataloged. Every fight was both a failure and a testament to the system's efficiency. It could contain violence, but not eliminate the human spark entirely. Amid this chaos, Harper reflected on the stories he had heard. Tales of prisoners who had spent decades within these walls, never seeing sunlight beyond the narrow openings above their cells. Men who had lost all sense of time, who lived only by the schedules dictated by guards and electronic timers. Some adapted, becoming shadows within the walls. Others cracked, their minds eroding under the constant pressure. One inmate, known as Roth, had been inside for 15 years. He moved with a quiet intensity, eyes scanning for signs of weakness or opportunity. Harper had watched him for months, noting the subtle ways he exerted influence over others despite the isolation. Roth had friends in every block, men who would do his bidding in exchange for protection or simply out of fear. He was a master of survival in a place that demanded perfection. As night fell, the prison took on an even more eerie aspect. The fluorescent lights flickered, casting long, unnatural shadows across the corridors. Inmates were locked into their cells, the doors clanging shut like the finality of a sentence. Silence settled over the facility, punctuated only by the occasional metallic clang, the hum of ventilation, or the distant murmur of a voice. Harper made his rounds, hearing jangling, flashlight cutting through the darkness. He paused at Roth's cell, observing the man sit on his bunk, eyes distant yet alert. There was an understanding between them, unspoken but palpable. In this place, survival required awareness, intelligence, and caution. One misstep could mean injury, isolation, or worse. Suddenly, an unexpected alarm rang, louder and more urgent than the previous incidents. A sensor had detected movement in an area scheduled to be vacant. Officers rushed, weapons ready. Harper's heart raced as he followed protocol, entering the hallway with caution. What they discovered would change the course of the day. A hidden tunnel had been discovered, cleverly concealed behind a maintenance panel. Someone had been attempting to bypass the controls, to move unseen. The revelation sent shockwaves through the control room. Who could have engineered such a thing within a facility designed to eliminate every loophole? Questions raced through Harper's mind. Was it Roth, Holloway, or someone else entirely? The complexity of the prison, designed to contain the most dangerous individuals, had been challenged by ingenuity, desperation, or both. As the officers investigated the tunnel, carefully documenting every inch, Harper felt the weight of the day pressing down. In a Supermax, every detail mattered. Every shadow could hide a threat. Every sound could indicate a breach. Every gesture could signal conspiracy. The prison was more than just a building. It was a living entity, and its inhabitants were part of an endless, unspoken battle for dominance, survival, and control. The day ended with the tunnel sealed, the inmates secured, and the alarms finally silenced. Yet a lingering unease remained. Harper knew this was just the beginning. In a place where every hour was measured, where every action was monitored, and where every mind was a battlefield, nothing was ever truly settled. Secrets lingered, alliances formed in the shadows, and the line between control and chaos was thinner than anyone dared admit. As he walked back to the control room, Harper glanced at the rows of cameras, blinking red lights silently observing every movement. The prison had many rules, some written, some unwritten. Yet the human spirit, cunning, desperate, and unpredictable, could never be fully contained. And somewhere in the maze of concrete and steel, an invisible game of strategy, deception, and survival was already unfolding. The day's events had ended, but the story was far from over. The tunnel hinted at hidden motives, secret plans, and a level of sophistication Harper had not anticipated. Tomorrow, the investigation would resume, and with it, a deeper understanding of what life inside a Supermax truly meant. But when Harper checked the logs one final time, a chilling note appeared in the digital record, a movement detected in Block D, at a time when every inmate was confirmed locked in their cell. Someone was watching, and someone was planning. What really goes on inside a Supermax prison? We hear the stories, see the movies, but the reality is far more complex than a simple tale of good versus evil. These are places designed for the worst of the worst, but they are also places where human beings live out their days in extreme isolation. Today, we read pulling back the curtain on the hidden battles fought every single day within these concrete walls. Battles not just of physical survival, but of the mind. Imagine spending 23 hours a day in a cell the size of a parking space. No human contact, no direct sunlight, just you and your thoughts. This is the reality for thousands of inmates in Supermax facilities. The primary goal is control, to prevent violence and escape by limiting every possible interaction. But what is the cost of this total control? Psychologists and human rights advocates have long warned about the severe mental toll of long-term solitary confinement. It's a condition often referred to as SHU syndrome, where inmates can develop anxiety, paranoia, hallucinations, and severe depression. The mind, starved of stimulation and connection, begins to turn on itself. One of the biggest misconceptions is that everyone in a Supermax is a violent mastermind. While many have committed serious crimes, a significant number of inmates end up in solitary confinement for repeated, nonviolent rule-breaking within the general prison population. Sometimes, it's even inmates with pre-existing mental health issues who are unable to adapt to the rigid structure of prison life. Instead of receiving treatment, they are placed in an environment that almost guarantees their condition will worsen. It creates a tragic cycle where the punishment itself fuels the behavior it's meant to stop. So what does a day look like? It's a monotonous, soul-crushing routine. Meals are pushed through a small slot in the cell door. Any time outside the cell, perhaps an hour in a solo exercise cage, often called a dog run, is conducted alone. Communication with guards is minimal and often through a speaker system. The constant surveillance, the lack of privacy, and the sensory deprivation create an atmosphere of intense psychological pressure. For many, the only fight left is the one to hold on to their own sanity. They create intricate mental routines, exercise relentlessly in their tiny space, or read whatever they can get their hands on, anything to keep their minds from unraveling. But there is a growing movement for reform. Some states are beginning to rethink the widespread use of solitary confinement, recognizing its high cost and questionable effectiveness. They are exploring alternative models that use de-escalation techniques, mental health treatment, and step-down programs to help reintegrate inmates back into less restrictive environments. These programs are not about being soft on crime. They're about being smart. They recognize that if the vast majority of these individuals will one day be released, sending them back into society more broken than when they went in is a danger to everyone. The hidden battles inside Supermax prisons are a stark reminder of the complexities of justice and rehabilitation. It forces us to ask tough questions. What is the true purpose of incarceration? Is it purely punishment, or should it also aim to heal and reform? And where do we draw the line between security and basic human dignity? The answers aren't easy, but the conversation is one we absolutely need to have. Thanks so much for watching. What are your thoughts on this complex issue? Let me know in the comments below, and if you found this video insightful, please give it a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the topics that shape our world. See you next time. An alarm rang, more urgent than previous signals. Harper and the team rushed to the control room monitors. The camera in Block D flickered, then showed nothing. A feed had gone offline, a rare occurrence in a facility designed for redundancy and fail-safes. Harper's stomach tightened. A disruption of this magnitude could indicate an internal manipulation or a technical failure. Either way, it demanded immediate action. Officers deployed to investigate. They approached the area with extreme caution, aware that a misstep could escalate the situation. The air was heavy with tension. The faint smell of antiseptic mingled with the metallic scent of steel. Inmates in nearby cells shifted, sensing the heightened activity, some with fear, some with curiosity. As Harper reached Block D, the panel that had caused previous alerts was now closed, but signs of tampering were evident. Scratches along the edges, fingerprints faint but visible under UV light, suggested that someone had been in and out multiple times. Someone was using the infrastructure of the prison against itself. Back in the control room, the screens displayed every corridor, every yard, yet Harper's mind was focused on the anomaly. A thought surfaced. If the inmates were capable of exploiting blind spots and schedules, they might already be planning something beyond simple mischief. The level of coordination suggested intelligence, patience, and experience, a dangerous combination in a Supermax. Elsewhere, Holloway observed from his cell. He had noticed Mercer's movements, Roth's subtle gestures, and the officer's reactions. Every detail was noted, stored, and analyzed. In the isolation of a Supermax, knowledge was currency. Holloway smiled faintly. In a system designed to strip men of power, he had quietly amassed influence, connections, and leverage. By midnight, the investigation of Block D yielded no definitive answers, but a deeper unease settled over Harper and his team. The prison, designed to contain the worst of humanity, was revealing its vulnerabilities. Every protocol could be challenged, every rule bent, and every guard's expectation subverted. The game being played within the walls was no longer one of survival alone. It was strategy, manipulation, and silent warfare. Harper returned to the control room for the final checks of the night. Every camera feed was scanned, every movement logged, every anomaly noted. But as he checked block D one last time, a flicker on the monitor caught his eye. A shadow where none should exist, a subtle movement in a cell that should have been empty. Someone was testing the boundaries, probing for weaknesses. And in a Supermax, testing boundaries was the first step towards something far more dangerous. This scene closed on that tension, a system of absolute control, challenged by the unpredictable, cunning intelligence of the men inside. Every guard, every officer, every protocol was now a piece of the puzzle, a puzzle being solved by those who had nothing to lose and everything to gain. The questions that remained were stark. Who was orchestrating the subtle moves behind the walls? What were their objectives? And how long before the first truly uncontrollable event occurred? The Supermax, designed to contain men like Roth and Holloway, had proven that even the most secure walls could not contain human ingenuity, and the true story of life behind these walls was just beginning to unfold. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a world most of us only see in movies, the Supermax prison. We're not just talking about any prison. We're talking about the most secure, most isolated facilities on the planet. These places are designed to be escape-proof, a concrete fortress for the world's most dangerous individuals. But what if I told you that even these fortresses have cracks? Today, we're unveiling the secrets of breaking the system, pulling back the curtain on how inmates have managed to outsmart the seemingly unbreakable. First, let's set the scene. Imagine being locked in a small concrete cell for 23 hours a day. Your contact with the outside world is almost zero. Everything is controlled, monitored, and designed to break your spirit. This is the reality of a Supermax. The psychological pressure is immense. So, how does one even begin to think about escape? The answer isn't brute force. It's about exploiting the one thing that even the most advanced security systems say can't fully control: the human element. One of the most legendary Supermax breakouts didn't involve explosives or elaborate tunnels. It involved observation and patience. Take the story of Richard Lee McNair. While held in a federal penitentiary, he noticed the tiny details everyone else overlooked. He studied the routines of the guards, the timing of their shifts, and the blind spots in the surveillance system. His masterstroke was turning a simple mailbag into his getaway vehicle. He literally mailed himself out of prison. It sounds like something out of a Hollywood script, but it happened. He understood that the system, for all its technology, relies on people, and people get complacent. They fall into patterns, and that's where the vulnerability lies. Then there's the power of communication. In an environment designed for total isolation, inmates have developed ingenious ways to talk to each other. They've used everything from complex sign language flashed between cells to a system called gassing or phishing, where they use threads pulled from their clothes to pass notes from one cell to another. This secret network is vital. It's how information spreads, how plans are formed, and how a sense of community is built in the most isolating of places. They create a hidden social structure right under the noses of the guards. It's a testament to human ingenuity and the deep-seated need for connection. Let's not forget the art of manipulation. Some of the most successful escape artists were masters of social engineering. They would spend months, even years, building what seemed like a friendly relationship with a guard. They'd learn about their families, their problems, their weaknesses. They play the long game, slowly chipping away at the professional boundary until they can exploit a moment of trust. It's a chilling reminder that psychological warfare is just as potent as any physical tool. They turn the prison's own staff into unknowing accomplices. But here's the most crucial secret. It's almost never a solo mission. Successful breakouts are often the result of incredible teamwork and intricate planning. One inmate might be the lookout, another the engineer who figures out how to dismantle a fixture, and another the social architect who distracts the guards. Each person has a role, and the entire operation depends on flawless execution and absolute trust. It's a high-stakes collaboration where one mistake can mean failure for everyone involved. They create a perfectly synchronized operation in an environment designed to prevent any form of cooperation. So, while Supermax prisons are marvels of security engineering, they are still run and inhabited by humans. And as long as there's a human element, there will be vulnerabilities. From mailing oneself to freedom, to creating secret communication networks and masterfully manipulating staff, these stories show us that the will to be free can inspire extraordinary creativity. It's a constant cat-and-mouse game between the system and the human spirit. What do you think is the most ingenious escape tactic? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you found this as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's best-kept secrets. See you in the next one. In the deepest, most secure corners of America's prison system, a silent war is being waged. This isn't a story of shivs and riots. It's a battle of minds, fought in the sterile silence of a Supermax facility. An officer's voice, steady but tight, cuts through the tension. Proceed carefully. We don't know what we're dealing with, but we must assume this is deliberate. The team moves cautiously towards Block D. Inside their cells, 3 men, Roth, Holloway, and Mercer, watch from behind reinforced steel. They aren't just prisoners. They are observers, strategists, and students of the system. Every detail matters. Every sound, every vibration, every shift in a guard's posture is a piece of a larger puzzle. They have pushed the boundaries, tested the system, not with force, but with intellect. They've learned that while the Supermax is formidable, it isn't flawless. Human ingenuity, patience, observation, strategy can always find the gaps. The officers conduct their search. They find nothing. No tools, no tunnels, no overt signs of an escape attempt. But the real victory isn't about breaking out. It's psychological. The prisoners have sent a clear message. Even in the most controlled environment on Earth, we can challenge you. We can make you doubt your own security. As morning approaches, the prison settles back into its tense rhythm. Guards monitor, cameras record, and the unyielding routines continue. But beneath the surface, the invisible struggle persists. In each cell, strategies are refined, plans reconsidered, and knowledge is accumulated. Roth leans back on his bunk, a faint, knowing smile on his face. He has survived, observed, and influenced events without overtly breaking a single rule. Holloway, in his own cell, feels the same quiet satisfaction. And Mercer, the observer, understands the true lesson of the Supermax. Power isn't just about force. It's about subtlety, timing, and intelligence. Meanwhile, in the control room, Officer Harper reviews the logs, exhausted. He's starting to realize a frightening truth. The prison's greatest strength, its absolute control, is also its greatest vulnerability. In a system designed to suppress and dominate, men like Roth, Holloway, and Mercer will always test the boundaries. They will always use knowledge as a weapon. The human element can never be fully contained. The Supermax was built to hold the most dangerous individuals, to be a fortress of absolute containment. But tonight, it has revealed its limits. It has shown that even the strictest regimes can be subtly challenged, observed, and outmaneuvered. The story of life behind these walls is one of constant tension, a chess match played for the highest stakes, where survival depends on intelligence, patience, and an unrelenting will to endure. As Harper finally leans back, ready to end his shift, a faint shadow flickers across a peripheral camera. A glitch? Or a reminder? A reminder that in a place of absolute containment, nothing is ever truly predictable. The real story of a Supermax isn't just about confinement. It's about the invisible struggles, the psychological warfare, and the ingenuity of the human mind under extreme pressure. In that delicate balance, the line between authority and influence, between containment and cunning, is razor thin. And that is a story few will ever get to see. Thanks for watching. If you found this glimpse into the hidden world of Supermax prisons fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into subjects that are rarely seen.